Hi there, Malcolm here with my 20th video for Wyrmberg Games, and today I'll be showing you my games haul for August. I've got quite a pile there, so let's get cracking. First up is Tiny Epic Dinosaurs by Games. Way back when I backed this on Kickstarter, and it turned up in the post shortly after we got back from holiday. I've already done an unboxing for this one, so I'll leave a link to that below if you want to go and see what's in this box. But another great game by Games of the Tiny Epic series. I also had a birthday, so I kindly got myself a Smash Up expansion from the Wyrmberg Entertainment Group. This one is Cease and Desist. Each expansion works as a game on their own, but can be mixed with the main game to add more combinations and players. Like with most of the expansions, this one features 4 new factions, including the Star Roamers, a parody on Star Trek, Changer Bots, a parody on Transformers, Astronauts, who use the power of the Force, with lots of great Star Wars parodies in there, and Ignobles, which seem a little out of place with this collection, but is a parody on A Game of Thrones. I just say it's out of place because you've got 3 science fiction ones and 1 fantasy. But you can mix them up to make Changeable Astronauts, Star Roamer Ignobles, or whatever. Doesn't add a huge amount to the base Smash Up game, just more factions you can play as. Each faction has their own particular little thing about them. I'm mostly big on it because of the parodies. So it comes with 1 and 5 victory point tokens, a rule book, 4 plastic dividers, if you've got the big geeky box or the bigger geekier box, 8 more bases, including the Hive of Scum and Villainy, the USS Undertaking, the Unicrave, and the Spiky Chair Room. So the Star Roamers, who use their teleporting ability to jump around the board, the Astronauts, who can boost their stats using the power of the Force, the Changer Bots, who can use abilities that are temporary and can change what they are, and the Ignobles, who are all about giving control to the other player and then stabbing them in the back. Now, like with any mix and match faction game, some combinations will work better than others, some will be pretty bad, and some will be pretty epic. It's fun finding out which is which. And a lot of the card titles are hilarious. Another expansion is the first expansion to Everdell, Pearlbrook by Starling Games. Pearlbrook gives you an extra bit of board which goes to the left of the existing board. It neatly slots in there and it all matches up with the artwork already in play. You get a whole bunch of new cards, all Pearlbrook related, and 2 more judges for some reason. There's no explanation of why there's 2 more judges in here. Did the first print have not enough judges? Did we suddenly need more judges? I don't know, you get judges in the base game and suddenly this one gives you 2 more, for some reason. You also get another An Evening of Fireworks achievement card. Again, I don't know why, what was wrong with the one in the base game. It's exactly the same print, there's nothing different in there, bit weird. Particularly when the rules expressly say to make sure you include, particularly when the Pearlbrook rules say, whenever you play Pearlbrook, include 1 achievement card from the Pearlbrook expansion. Well, there aren't any apart from this one, which is already in the base one. Makes no sense. You have new basic events. These ones cover the existing ones on the original board and can be achieved by spending the prerequisite costs. So you can get the Hope Watch Gate for 10 points, the Mistrise Fountain for 15, Sunblade's Bridge for 20, and the Starfall's Flame for 25. And of course, once the players claim those, no one else can get it. The Pearlbrook board itself is populated with these gorgeous new cards, which are river destination cards, and these require some cost to be given to give a nice reward. Only 4 are played in any game, and so each game will be slightly different in what you have. Though they also aren't revealed until later on. There are also 8 adornment cards as well. Players start the game with 2 of these, and they are one-off usage to give some nice benefit to that player. They're all different, and some are definitely better than others. There's a new resource, which are pearls. Like with all the other resources, these are really nicely produced. They're solid, they've got good pearl colour and quality to them. And they've also got slightly flat bottoms, so they don't roll away as easily as the berries do, for example. Or the pearls from Abyss. A new player character is added, the otters. Very cute. And each player also gets a frog in their player colour, and these are the only pieces that can visit the new Pearlbrook board. They're the frog ambassadors. But they give you an extra thing to do. So a very nice addition. It does take up a little bit more space on the table, adds enough new stuff to keep the game fresh, but doesn't add so much to make the game complicated. I also got Heroes of Land, Air and Sea, also by Games. Where Games usually specialise in doing small portable games like Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, they've also proven that they can do it big form as well. Similar in style and theme as their Tiny Epic Kingdoms, Heroes of Land, Air and Sea come in a humongous box. There's also not a box you can open and play the game the first time you open it. There is a little bit of assembly required, where you need to construct 12 towers, 12 capital city pieces, which are also stackable, 4 water vehicles, and 4 air vehicles, which come with a bag of clear stands to make them look like they're flying. And so you end up with lots of bits. That's a nice crocodile one. There's quite a hefty rulebook, but don't be too alarmed, the game is actually a lot more straightforward than it looks. A round reminder sheet and a crib sheet for all the tokens are when you can pick them up. 4 double-sided faction boards for humans, orcs, elves and dwarves. The reverse side is if you play it 1 player, so you have your side and the AI side. I have tried it 1 player already and it is fiendish. The board, which is pretty big, with 4 islands on it where each player starts on their own island. Each island is made up of territories, and each territory allows you to produce a certain resource, such as food, ore, or mana. And also some swamps and deserts which produce nothing, and the sea. Each area and region will contain some tokens, and one of the objectives of the game is to reveal every single token. This board is also double-sided, with this being the 1 to 4 player side, and this being 2/3 of the 5 to 6 player side, but to finish the islands on here, you need to buy an expansion which has that board in it. You also get 2 trays like this, which contain all the miniatures, and some storage as well. So this one has all those tokens, pretty standard little cardboard tokens, blank one side, and the hidden thing on the other, and 20 miniatures for each of the 4 factions, where you get 12 serfs, the general workers, resource gatherers, 5 warriors, just a bit more fighty than the serfs, and 3 unique hero characters who all have their own special powers. So we have the elves and the dwarves, and the humans and the orcs. And this tray also contains a thick deck of spell cards. These will provide actions during the game, movement, resource generation, combat assistance, and others. Each player gets one of these at the start of the game, and a fresh one at every subsequent round. There is an action they can do to get more, but they can only hold as many cards as they have tiers on their main city. And once you get 3 tiers on your city, that's an end of game move as well. So lots of variety there, but due to the fact you get at least one of these every turn, you do go through this deck quite quickly. I would say with my first game, despite shuffling these, a lot of the duplicate cards were coming up at the same time. We never even saw the combat spells until near the end, and then they all came up. There is the deck of single player cards, and these basically denote what the AI player would do on their turn. And you pick one of those in turn, and it'll tell you what they do. A bag of bits, including the first player token. Each player gets 2 action tokens, which they put on their board to show what they're doing that round. A score tracker, which is a +50 on the back if you get that high. And true to the rest of their games, little resource counters, which you put on the track to keep track of how much of each resource you have. And this is a pretty standard technique used in the Gambling Games games. There are 28 tactic cards, split into groups of 7. Each 7 contains the same collection of cards as the other group, and these come into effect when 2 players combat, and these will add combat score and other abilities to the battle at a cost. They may cancel each other out depending on which 2 players have played what. Siege, for example, gets a benefit if the other players played Charge. Charge gets a benefit against First Strike. First Strike gets a benefit against Siege, and so on. That sort of thing. So it's about second guessing what the other player is going to play and what they can afford. As you've got the cards in front of you yourself, you can see what the costs are. You can see the other player's resources, and so you can pretty much guess what they can actually go for and what they might do. So quite a good combat system there. And there are 12 commander cards for each of the players' 3 commanders. On the back, they have the story about those characters, giving them a bit of history and a bit of lore. And the front, it shows you what they can do. And again, there's a 3-tiered system, which correlates against their capital city. So if they've only got 1 tier, they can do the 1-tier stuff. If they've got 2 tiers, they can do 2-tier stuff, and so on. So these guys are pretty powerful when they're on the board. And lastly, an assembly sheet for how to construct all the little things. The boards themselves are pretty nicely made, really solid. You have the actions at the top here, which you put the shields on, and these are the various buildings you can build that allow you to build these various units. And again, they've got the tier system, depending on how tall you've got your building, depends on how powerful your buildings are. And you keep track of your resources along the side here. Really impressed with this one. Though I would say that the figures could have come painted. I know you can buy the pre-painted version now, but it's certainly something I'm going to look into doing. I did pop down to the Warhammer shop earlier today. I was standing at its door at 9:30 this morning, and it said it was not open until 12. So I'll try again another day. But yeah, I think these guys would benefit from painting, because certainly it's difficult to see when they're on the board, particularly due to the size of the board and over on the other side, whether the character is a warrior or hero or what. I mean, he's pretty distinctive, for example, but some of the other ones not so. Gonna have to get some paints and a painting guide if there is such a beast. So if you've got any ideas, then please comment below and that'd be really useful. Thanks. I also got myself a couple of more expansions, this time for Small World. Leaders of Small World by Days of Wonder. For every faction you get a leader token, which, as well as acting as an extra token for that faction, which is great, they do have the downside in that instead of being killed, they can be captured by an opponent and are worth 2 points to that opponent at the end of the game, unless you ransom them back for the 2 points. Nice little extra thing. I've got so much of Small World already, silly not to get these, particularly how cheap they were. Well, it's the same reason I got Necromancer Island. So another mini expansion. This one adds more of a campaign to the game, where one player takes the role of the Necromancer. This little island is placed in the middle of the lake, in the middle of the board, and the game plays a little bit differently because of the Necromancer. Looks a lot of fun, and again I picked it up quite cheaply. And it's been out of print for a long time, so I'm quite pleased to pick this up. A couple of weekends ago we had the Games Expo live. Because of that damn COVID, nothing's happened in the real world, and so we managed to do a live version of the Games Expo. And this year, for the first time, I was on the other side of the table doing the games demonstrating. And so on behalf of Coral Spring Games, I demonstrated a couple of games, which they thankfully sent through to me so I could do so. And for what I now understand, they're now mine. The first game was Zombie Kids Evolution by Scorpion Mask. And this legacy-style kids game contains a rule book, a double-sided board, that's the 3 and 4 player side, and that's the 2 player side. They're virtually identical, except the night side has extra doorways between rooms for ease of moving around. 4 lock tokens. The objective of the game is to move into each of these outside courtyards and put a lock on the gate to stop the zombies getting in. And once all 4 gates are locked, the game is won. 4 characters, so we have a cowboy girl with a pink lightsaber, a little guy with a super soaker, a chap wearing a hoodie and riding a bicycle while wielding a sucker dart crossbow, and a skateboard girl with a tennis ball shooter. A zombie dice, which denotes which room a zombie will appear in any turn, and 8 zombies, including 2 librarian zombies, teacher zombies, this one's holding a coffee cup, PE teachers, and caretakers / janitors. When you start playing the game, the type of zombie isn't important, but as I said, this is a legacy game. As you play the game, you'll progress along this track, and once you've played 5 games, you open the first mystery envelope. After you've played 44 games, you would have opened all 13 of these mystery envelopes. I haven't opened them yet, I only ever demonstrated just the basic game, but since completing the demonstration, I played it twice. I need to play it 3 more times. It needs 3 more plays to get to the first one. Really curious now to know what's in these. And as a hint, there are 4 free standees with nothing to put in them yet. The rules themselves contain lots of stickers, so you can keep track of your progress on the back, with a brain sticker if you lose, and a trophy sticker if you achieve one of these many achievements, such as winning a game with 2, 3 or 4 players, and various other things. But there's space for more achievements to be stuck in, and more rules to be stuck in. And once you have played this game 44 times, you still have a very playable game to play. The kids love this one, and for someone who doesn't like cooperative games, and have always been a bit sort of suspicious of legacy games, this has really surprised me, and I'm really into it. I look at next month when the Zombie Teens Evolution comes out, which is apparently compatible with this one. Really enjoyed demonstrating that game, and I had a lot of interest. I also enjoyed this one, but because no one had ever heard of it, I didn't get quite the interest that it deserved. And it's a Masterword, also by Scorpion Mask. If you're familiar with the game Mastermind, the game with the coloured pegs, which you've got to guess what colour and sequence they are, this is a similar sort of thing. This is a word party game containing a bunch of words with their main clue. So we have animal as the clue, and the other players have to use these wipeable boards to write down not what they think the answer is, but words that will help narrow it down. So if it's an animal, water, big, brown, mammal, hooved. You get a series of these clues along with the other players have come up with, and then the question master then puts these little tokens down next to each line saying how many of those answers are in the right area, not which ones are right, but just if there are correct answers in that line. And of course, using that information and then have some more guesses, try to narrow it down, and after 7 turns they've got to try and come up with the answer. There are 3 red answer cards. They can use them at any time, but once all 3 are up, the round's over. And if they accidentally write the answer on one of these white boards, they also lose. The game also comes with 6 red marker pens and a little foam wiper. The answer's cow, by the way. Fiendishly difficult. Actually worked really well as a remote game. The downside was there was not much interest in it. The game isn't out for another couple of weeks yet, and so because nobody heard of it, it wasn't as well known about than other games. I had a few bits of interest, but had it been a physical convention, I'd have been sitting behind the table twiddling my thumbs a lot. As it was, I got to do lots of reading. I really like the game. Not something I would have picked up necessarily, but I'm glad I've got it. And finally, for a wedding anniversary, we got each other the latest villainous edition, Marvel Infinite Power by Ravensburger. Technically not really compatible with the rest of the villainous games. It can technically be compatible as a 2-player game, but you've got to do something interesting with a fate deck to make it work. So there's a rule book with a nice little teaser at the back of Loki, who's not in this game, but maybe in the next one. Bunch of power tokens, like you do in the original game, plus some other things in there as well. Nice addition of the +1, -1 tokens, whereas in the original games, you used power tokens as the plus tokens on your cards. There are also things that will weaken cards as well, so you can flip these to be plus or minus. And also there's a bunch of green tokens for one of the characters. There's a clear plastic cauldron thing, looks a little bit like Thanos' suit. And the characters are, of course, Thanos, sort of a mixture of his helmet and his glove at the same time. Ultron, nice little bust there. Taskmaster, now I only know Marvel from the films, so I have no idea who this is, but it's a helmet on a sword. Killmonger, which is his mask on a spear, and Hela with her antlers. Now these look really nice, but I would say that compared to the main Disney lot, these are really cheaply made. These feel like they're the sort of thing you got free in cereal back in the day when such a thing happened. Particularly Taskmaster, he really feels light and cheap. Thanos has got a good weight to him. I do like their design, I just feel that compared to the translucent, well-made pieces of the Disney lot, they scrimped a bit here. However, they're merely pawns to move about on your player boards, and so there's such a thing as overproduction, I suppose. So here are the player boards, nicely produced, solid boards, lots of lovely colour, and the Zermtop, you may notice that these are full-sized for both sides. In the original version, there's a bit missing from here, which in this version is dedicated to the speciality bit, which if you were to do a game against a player playing the non-Marvel version, the non-Marvel version may miss out by not having their speciality, because there is not such a thing in that one. But again, like with the original, you have your 4 locations, you move your pawn about to do the various actions. The actions are all the same, although the fate symbol is slightly different, but it still does the same thing. Each player again gets their own individual guide on how to play that character, and a nice little fold-out booklet, and a little crib sheet to tell you what all the symbols mean, and what all the other villains are trying to achieve as well. Each player gets their own villain deck. This is Thanos's, and they have some really nice designs on the back, and the artwork is lovely too. Thanos actually comes with some Infinity Stones. These are double-sided, showing you where they go on the glove, but he doesn't start with those. These can be owned by any player at the beginning of the game or during the game, and Thanos has to go and beat you up to take them off you. Ultron gets a bunch of special things as well to help him upgrade. The green tokens in the bag are Hela's, and Killmonger gets a couple of double-sided things as well. However, there's only one central fate deck. In the original, each character got their own fate deck. In this, there's the standard lot, where no matter who's playing, you get the same cards in it, and then you add to that the specifics of each villain, and they get shuffled together. So when the fate action is done, the top card is drawn, and that player chooses who to give it to, with a bigger deficit going to the matching player, but they don't necessarily have to give it to that player. And what was lacking in this game is that fated token, where in the original Disney, if you got fated, you got the token as well, meaning you couldn't get fated again until someone else got fated and they took the token off you. There is no fate token in this. I got hammered in the last game I played. But a nice addition, and certainly looking forward to the Loki expansion. All in all, not bad for 1 month's game collection. Okay, I had to demonstrate 2 of those, but that was a joy anyway. One was a gift, and the rest were a gift for myself, so that's quite nice too. There you go, there's quite a lot there. I hope you enjoy that. If you want to have a close look at any of those games, then let me know and I'll do a more thorough unboxing. Otherwise, have you played any of those games? Did you enjoy them? What's your favourite villainous character? Or anything else game related? Comment below, but as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you, and until next time, see you later.